Hello, how are you? Well, I hope you all have been following these solar eruptions. I think seven of them in the past, within hours. We had seven solar eruptions, and they've been hitting us since, I believe, yesterday, since Friday, and creating power outages and northern lights until down to Florida. I talked to a friend of mine, sent me pictures, a whole bunch of pictures from northern lights from Germany. That probably was middle of Germany, Black Forest area, and beautiful pictures, but it's very unusual. Yeah, people, we have heard, maybe you have heard, about these northern lights, and everybody is saying, oh, how great we're seeing these northern lights. Yeah, well, we had last year record northern lights coming down south, and I would think this is probably again hitting the record with these northern lights this time. Yeah, we had 7 eruptions, and yeah, I'm not an expert in space weather. Again, I know I have probably people that believe in flat Earth, and I would like to know how they explain space weather. Oh, that doesn't exist, it's all made up. Yeah, the northern lights are made up too. And how they are related to these explosions on the sun and our magnetic field weakening. Now, how in the world are they going to explain our magnetic field weakening, and how do they explain, the poles, the North Pole, the South Pole? How in the world, are they created? I mean, there's so many questions, and they just want me to just shut up my brain and say, okay, let's go back to the old model that is, what is it? Stone Age, a Stone Age model. I don't know. I cannot do that. Everything is not a lie, people. Everything in science is not a lie. Yeah, there's a lot of lies, and they make people now question science, but no, everything in science is not a lie. Science is simply observing. That's what science is. And just because some people are mixing things with lies and you shouldn't be trusting them does not mean we're going to throw everything out. I suggest, and I have suggested him before, but this interview was a great interview with suspicious observers and it's called Dark Horse Podcast. So I think it's Ben Davidson and what's his name? Weinstein. I don't remember his first name. But Weinstein is his name.
It's a dicey
it's Brett
business.
Weinstein. Brett Weinstein. I have watched both of them for a long time. Actually, Ben, I have watched, I'm sure, over 10 years at least. And Brett Weinstein, I haven't watched that long. Brett Weinstein is a PhD biologist, no Christian. I think he's actually Jewish. He's a pure scientist. He's a what kind of biologist? Well, he is a biologist. It's a certain kind. And I definitely do not agree with him on everything, even the biological stuff. I don't agree with him. Or he's an evolutionary biologist. And that's why I don't really care too much. I like his wife, Heather, a lot better. But sometimes he says some pretty good, pretty good things where I can say, yep, I agree with you. But I listened to him during the pandemic. Actually, I started listening to him before the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, in the beginning, they were almost, both of them, were going along with this nonsense. And not until later did they start waking up. Well, at least they woke up, which is good. And so now he has interviewed Ben Davidson, which I've been, like I said, listening for years, at his model on pole shift and micronova and something with the plates, dismantling plates, which really, if you listen to what the Bible says in Revelation 6, when it says that every island will move and the heavens will roll up like a scroll. So that's in Revelation 6:12 through 17. You kind of have an idea of what he is talking about and what can come as a result of this pole shift. I wanted to make this video because of what happened this weekend. And today it's Saturday for me, and we're still not through these 7 explosions that are hitting the earth. I really recommend, of course, Ben, Suspicious Observers, because he gives you really great information. He is not like, the end of the world is coming. No, he is preparing for it. Of course, he's not a Christian. He wears a cross once in a while, and, he acts like he's a believer, but again, he believes in everything. That's what I have a feeling. But he has good scientific information that we need to know. His calculation may be totally off, which I think. I think the pole shift will hit us a lot sooner than what he thinks. He will be very surprised. I don't know if he's saying everything or if he just doesn't know, he doesn't want to know. I don't know. For him, the pole shift will not happen until maybe 10 to 20 years from now. But he's also acknowledging that things are accelerating. And the acceleration is, can't explain it sometimes. So, but it gives you some kind of idea what's coming. These people who still think that the wrath of God is tribulation, they don't know what is going to hit them. Because those people are stuck either in dispensationalism or in rapture denial. It doesn't matter. They will be surprised when they're standing or when they're left behind after the rapture, and now they have to actually go through the wrath of God. And it's not tribulation. Tribulation is what we're going through right now. Every day, people, I am constantly attacked by Satan. I think it is Satan. Some people may say, that's just natural, that this and that happen. Sometimes I don't believe anymore that it's just a natural thing. Simply because, I've been hit in the last 2 months or so with one thing after another. And I'm thinking, that can't happen. And of course, I know that because of the videos that I'm making, warning people, correcting people, teaching the truth about the Bible and Jesus and his second coming, I know I'm very prone to attacks by Satan. I know it. And okay, it doesn't, I shouldn't say it doesn't matter, but there's nothing I can do about it. I can pray. People say, well, put on the full armor of God. Well, yeah, when you hit over the head, yeah, sometimes that doesn't help. Now, the full armor of God maybe protects us that we don't lose it. God is there, so we continue to hang in there and just keep solving problems, keep moving on, and not going to go crazy over the crazy things that are happening. And they will happen, people. If you live a life for Jesus, Satan will attack you. There's no doubt. Anybody, and I had several people lately saying, oh, with this tribulation, to believe in pre-trib. Hey, tribulation is happening now. What is going to happen after the rapture is the wrath of God, and it's going to be devastating. You have absolutely no idea what's coming. And the survival rate is very low. This Ben has been preparing. He lives actually here in Colorado Springs where I live. And he has been preparing with a group of people. And they believe they can make it through this whole wrath of God, this pole shift. He is talking about before the pole shift happened, before the micronova happens, the grid will go down. You're going to have to make it without electricity for years. And then the big one's going to hit. So it's just going to go worse, gets worse and worse. Why don't you read Revelation 16? And then compare it to Revelation 8 through 11. That's the wrath of God. That's the things that are going to come. And people, it's hard to survive them unless you really are not on medication, which over 65, people are on 8 medications at least. Okay? People over 65, they're all going to die. There's not going to be very many people left that are over 65. They're all going to die. That's one thing. And they're saying 90% at least of the people will die. That's including young people. Why? Because they don't know how to live without electricity. They don't know how to survive. They fall to pieces when something is happening, and it's not like, oh, fixable. Or it takes a lot of effort to fix. We are not prepared for this. This is what he's saying in this interview as well. We're not prepared. When this really bad one hits, this, what they call a kill shot, solar flare, kill shot. It's almost like a Harrington event. They also call it a Harrington event. The grid can go down, people. And then no more water. Okay, you're going to have to make sure you know how to get water and how to purify it. There is no sewer left. You're going to have to know how to take care of your waste products. It's not going to be any electricity. What else don't you have? Do you have food? Do you know how to get food? Do you know how to heat the house? These are all things to think about. What are you going to do? I had just recently, last week, if you watch my videos, 1.5 days, no electricity. That's only 1.5 days. I've done it with 3 days. Since I have a fireplace, I could keep warm. I have a cooker, a camp cooker. But what if the propane is out? I have several, propane bottles and stuff like that. What if it's out? You're going to have to cook on a stove or something. I don't have a stove. Something maybe to have. It's a cooking stove. My neighbor has one. And yeah, those are things that maybe we can prepare for. I remember my mother, when I was little, had a stove, a wood-burning cooking stove where she cooked in, and I think she even baked in it. So yeah, they had that. They had the cooking stove in the kitchen, and then in the living room we had a stove, and in the bedroom we had a stove. I grew up without central heat. So yeah, it can be done. It can be done. I grew up like that. We had also a heater in the bathroom with wood heater with a water tank on top. That's the only warm water we had. So yeah, but we would have to change quite a lot. Now, people, I know what I am preparing for. I know I would not make it through a time like that, like the wrath of God. And I'm not saying, I want to be raptured because of how bad it's going to get. I know from the Bible that we will not go through the wrath of God. We will not. Okay, I have done a lot of videos. You want to know? Find those videos where I clearly show that the wrath of God is after the rapture. And you're just going to have to distinguish between tribulation and wrath of God, which dispensationalism doesn't do. Neither do the rapture deniers do it. They don't talk about the wrath of God. Why? Because they don't want people to be prepared. That's why. Because the wrath of God is bad. God does not want us to go through the wrath of God. He wants us to hide in the rooms He is preparing right now. And again, like I said, I have a lot of people that comment once in a while about this. You just don't want to go through the tribulation. No, it's not that I don't want to. I just know that Jesus will pick me up. That's all there's to it. Because He promised that He's going to pick us up. He said, even Paul said that we're not going through the wrath. Like in Revelation, no, it's in 1 Thessalonians 5. Okay? Now, again, you have to read everything. People sometimes just stop wherever they want to. When you keep reading everything, you know that we are not destined for wrath. And again, it's not the same as tribulation, because Paul talks about tribulation all the time in his letters. That we're all going through tribulation. The people during Paul's time went through tribulation. No, he's not saying that we are spared from tribulation. In the opposite. But the wrath is a different story. If you don't want to know what the wrath is, listen to Ben. His name is Ben Davidson. Listen to him. Listen to this. It's a long interview, 2-hour interview. But this 2-hour interview is probably the best I've ever heard by Ben. I mean, the information is just totally put together very nicely. And of course, Brad asks some really great questions. So I recommend this highly, even if it's 2 hours. Listen to it to the end so you have an understanding what's coming. And if you have an understanding what's coming, maybe it will wake you up and say, wait a minute, I am not going to stay behind. I want to be with Jesus because it's coming. And of course, you have to start now. Are you going to follow Jesus or not? Is he going to be your bridegroom? Can you say this world cannot make it without Jesus? This is another thing. Do you really think that people can make this world a better place? I don't think so. The United States didn't even exist, 250 years now? A little over 250 years. Yeah. I think it was 250 when I first came to the States. So it's a little longer. 275. Not very long. And it's already falling to pieces. It's destroyed, people. It's gone. The United States, the way it was, is gone. They're destroying it. And they're destroying it because they know what's coming. They have no interest in saving anything. They can bring things up. People wonder why the government keeps spending and creating more money, just printing money and sending the money. People, they're printing the money. Those are debt that they're sending to Ukraine and Israel. 61 billion or trillion. I don't know how many trillion they have been, sending to the Ukraine. People, all this money, they're doing it because they know the wrath of God is coming. They know it. And they know it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether they are going to tear this economy to pieces because it's going to fall anyways. They know it. Satan knows what's coming. And the elite knows what's coming, and they're building the bunkers. I have said that so many times. Again, read Revelation 6:12 through 17. If you're not familiar, read it. Should I read it now? Here we go. I watched as he opened the 6th seal. This is when he opens the 6th seal, people. Okay? How many seals are there? There's 7 seals. By the time he opens the 6th seal, and all it is in the 6th seal is an introduction to the wrath. Then in the 7th seal, he describes the wrath. He says in the 6th seal, he says, I watched as he opened the 6th seal. Okay, let me remind you, 5 seals have by that time already been fulfilled. And we are now coming into this 6th seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair, and the whole moon turned blood red, and the stars in the sky fell to earth as figs dropped a fig tree as figs drop from fig trees when shaken by a strong wind. The heavens receded like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain. Now listen to this. The heavens receded like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was removed from its place. This is the wrath of God in a nutshell. It's just an introduction to what's coming. Okay, this is not already there, because then we read in 15, then the kings of the earth, the princes, the generals, the rich, the mighty, and everyone else, both slaves free and free, hid in caves and among the rocks of the mountains. They called to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can withstand it? This is saying to you that when they know that these catastrophic events are coming, they're building bunkers and they're going to hide there. They already know what's coming. Now, how long does it take to build bunkers? It takes years, because you have to build them and stock them with all kinds of stuff. You have no idea all the bunkers that the elite have, and they tend to think they can survive it. And only, the average Joe doesn't know what's coming. Oh, no, that's not coming. No, we're seeing signs. Oh, no, let's just enjoy these beautiful northern lights. That's what they're saying. Okay, let's just enjoy these beautiful northern lights. It's just something wonderful. Why do we have to worry about what's going to come? Yeah. Now, okay, that's the way it is. But this is an introduction. And then when we go to chapter 8, that's when the seventh seal is open and the wrath of God is described in detail. Now, we don't hear anything about tribulation. Do you hear anything about tribulation? Does he say, oh, just watch the tribulation of the Lamb is coming? Oh, the tribulation has come, and who can withstand it? No, talks about the wrath. When you go then to 8, well, you know that wrath is coming already. And people say, oh, no, that's not the wrath, because it doesn't say it's the wrath. Well, it says it right here. And then in 8 through 11, it's described. And at the end, I think it's the seventh seal, it may be in chapter 11, it tells you clearly that wrath has come. The wrath has come. So yeah, it is the wrath. People, they're not going to make it through the wrath. 90% of the people will die. That's what the scientists say. Okay? It's not quite an extinction event, but it's pretty close to many people dying. At the end, the earthquake at the end is so great that all cities will fall. All of them. Oh, that's not tribulation, people. It's called wrath of God. Yeah, I understand the mark of the beast will be administered. Yes. And those people, yes, the head goes off if you don't get the mark. That alone, people, you can't make it. You either take the mark, One thing these people said at the end, well, just make sure you don't get yourself a jab again. That's what they were talking about. But, how are they going to survive if it's required? If they, require the mark of the beast to buy or sell, okay, but if you have any kind of property, people, you don't survive it. I mean, if you have any kind of property, you have to take the mark, period, or you're not going to have anything. So yeah, people, wake up. Wake up. We are very close. Again, this guy says 10 to 20 years for the pole shift, but he says before that, the grid will go down sometime. It will be the micronova and the grid going down. You don't even have to wait until the pole shift. But long before, people will not survive. Anyways, I'm coming to an end. This weekend, or since I think Thursday or so, was a warning. I think it kind of gave you an introduction to what's coming. Absolutely. And if you continue to be ignorant about that and still call it, tribulation, no, stop that. Don't call it tribulation, because it's not tribulation. It's the wrath of God. And the wrath of God, people, is the wrath. All the ungodly are being destroyed. And you are not going to be protected. Especially when you rejected him and you didn't make it into the rapture. You are considered an ungodly, unlawful person. Do you understand that? Those people that are saying, oh no, rapture doesn't exist, they don't understand. They don't understand what they're doing. Anyways, people, watch this video with Ben and Brett. And always let the Holy Spirit guide you.